Jim, how are you doing this morning? How is Mr. Carter? How's the weather in your neck of the woods? Good morning, Andy. Jill, Terry, how are you folks doing this morning? Bill, good morning. And Laura, how are you doing today?
Sail over and you, friend, on an old road. Take a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
Hey, good morning, mi amigos. This morning I'm going to be talking books, specifically travel guides. And I'll also talk a little bit about the modern era of Route 66 travel planning, which are apps. And I have a great surprise, an exclusive, a brand new, being released in June, Route 66 book by Ron Clements. This is a different, it's different from any other Route 66 guidebook that I'm aware of. I hadn't planned this, but I have to rant a little bit. You know, I joke a lot about being modern Amish, but for God's sakes, look at the speed with which Pony Express delivered things. Uh, in the modern era, we can track packages, and that provides darkly comedic fun and enhances the frustration because you know there's no one you can call and talk to or yell about. But listen to this. I had a package mailed May 18th from Fresno, California. I needed this by the 22nd at the latest. May 19th, it was in Rialto and then Cibola, Arizona. From there, it's gone to Phoenix, to Glendale, to Flagstaff, Arizona, which is 150 miles from my house. Then it went to Fort Sumner, New Mexico, Wellington, Kansas, Countryside, Illinois, Fort Madison, Iowa, Countryside, Illinois, Justice, Illinois, St. Paul, Minnesota, Oakdale, Illinois, Countryside, Illinois, St. Paul, Minnesota, Winoka, Oklahoma, Carlton, Missouri, Socorro, New Mexico, and as of yesterday, it was back in Flagstaff. You gotta love it. Well, here we are. It's Memorial Day weekend. And in the States, this is the unofficial start to summer. And unlike last year, that means road trips, barbecues with friends, family, and making memories. There's lots to celebrate this year, but in our rush to celebrate and enjoy, and let's not forget why this is a holiday. Um, with that said, let's start this thing off this morning with a little trivia about the holiday. It has its origins in Decoration Day following the Civil War. This conflict claimed more lives than any war in United States history. And that is something we should solemnly meditate upon in light of increasingly incendiary rhetoric being tossed about lightly by politicians. Anyway, on November 19th, 1863, at the dedication of a military cemetery at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, President Lincoln gave his now famous Gettysburg Address. And after the war, the holiday was declared and linked with development of the first national cemeteries. One of the earliest Memorial Day commemorations that included decorating graves with flowers and reciting prayers was organized by a group of former slaves in Charleston, South Carolina, less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. The first official celebration of Memorial Day took place in Waterloo, New York on May 5th, 1866. It became an annual event during which businesses closed and residents decorated the graves of soldiers with flowers and flags. And in 1966, the federal government declared Waterloo the official birthplace of Memorial Day. And it was declared an official federal holiday in 1971. Okay, with that as a bit of perspective, let's get the show on the road. First, I am very proud to have the Wagon Wheel Motel as a sponsor. This is the oldest continuously operated motel on Route 66, and thanks to Connie Eccles, it is a true time capsule. It is the very essence of the Route 66 experience made manifest. And now let's talk books. I'll start with this little gem. Can you see that okay? All right. It was written by Jack Rittenhouse in 1946. He foresaw the post-World War II tsunami of Route 66 traffic, and he hoped to provide a service for travelers and make a buck or two. Well, the first worked, the second didn't. When I first discovered Rittenhouse, it came as a surprise to learn that his final fact-finding trip along Route 66 in March 1946 was made in a 1939 American Bantam. Imagine trying to travel Route 66 in a smart car. The Bantam weighed 1,200 pounds, had no trip odometer, and no radio. It was very fuel efficient, though. Gas mileage was somewhere around 40 miles to a gallon. But it had, with its 22 horsepower engine, it was very anemic, to say the very least. I can only imagine the fun he had driving over Sitgreaves Pass or up the grade out of Needles. Well, the book sold poorly until the era of the Route 66 Renaissance. Then it was reprinted word for word in 1988 and included an introduction by Rittenhouse. If you're a fan of Route 66 and the history of road trips, a guidebook to Highway 66 by Jack Rittenhouse is one that I can highly recommend. In addition to the mile-by-mile guide to services in towns, there are notes on historic trivia, events in communities, and other interesting tidbits. As an example, let me share this with you. That's my adopted hometown. Let me share some of the stuff he has for Kingman to give you an idea of the depth of the book. It says milepost 274, Kingman, population 2,200, altitude 3,337 feet. Hotels, the Beale, the Brunswick, the Commercial. Tourist courts, Akron, Arcadia, Wallapai, Williams, Kit Carson, Gypsy Garden, Stony Walled, Bungalow, White Rock, Lambert's, Gateway Village, Bell's, Stratton's, the Kingman, the El Trovador, and Challenger. Also trailer courts and garages, Williston, Ireland, Old Trails, and Shanks. Cafes, stores, all accommodations. And then he talks about this. Each September, the citizens of Kingman celebrate their famous Dig and Dogie Days. In a rodeo which combines cowboy contest with minor events, Kingman lies on the margin between the cattle country to the east and the mining country to the west. The event draws a wide audience of local folks as well as many outside visitors. And Kingman residents will tell you that it was in this town that Clark Gable and Carol Lombard were wed. Great little book. I highly, highly recommend this one for your collection. These are not exactly guidebooks, but the series of images, and it's a series, Images of America. It profiles Route 66 communities. These are well worth adding to your library. Most of the books in this series by Arcadia Press, they were compiled by Joe Sonderman. And they're chock full of interesting photos and information that really adds some context to your trip, to your adventure. And they're going to encourage some real urban exploration. If you're a Route 66 buff, chances are you like exploring. I like it. Next up, I want to share this. Marshall Trimble. Books by Marshall Trimble are always interesting. He has a boyhood association with Ash Fork and a nearly lifelong fascination with Arizona history. This particular book, A Roadside History of Arizona, is an older book, still can be found on Amazon and at some bookstores. Lots and lots and lots of interesting stories and history. This book has inspired countless road trips for me, and it has sparked some real interesting discussions on Route 66 and backroads adventures. This little gem, The Easy 66 Guide for Travelers by Jerry McClanahan, this has to be the best-selling Route 66 guide ever published. As a bonus, Jerry maintains a website where he posts updates about the road, and he includes his cell number with an invitation to stop by his gallery in Chandler, Oklahoma. With its hand-drawn maps and notes and ring binder format, this thing is a throwback to the 1950s. And I think the timelessness is part of the charm. I really do. The only complaint I've ever had with this, the only shortcoming, is it's best used with a navigator. Still, even after all my years of traveling Route 66, I never embark on a Route 66 odyssey without carrying my copy. And if I may brag just a bit, my copy has been personalized by the author himself. At the opposite end of the spectrum from the Easy Guide is the Route 66 navigation app. Now, I joke a lot, like I said at the beginning of the program, about being modern Amish. I still travel with folding maps as well as an atlas. And, gosh. And I use a Garmin that I purchased about 10 years ago. But the navigation app, Route 66 Navigation, don't confuse this with any other. The Route 66 Navigation app blends everything into a very nice package. And it has event information, phone numbers, and it's usable offline. Kind of important. Some places we don't have service out here in the Wild West. And there's also an expansive point of interest file. That is the bonus. See, I worked with a developer and I contributed to the development of the point of interest file. So using this app, well, it's like having me along for the ride as your guide, but without all the gum beating. For more information, check out their website, route66navigation.com. You can also order the latest edition of the Mother Road Route 66 Passport. And if this is your first trip on Route 66, there's also a free ebook about Route 66 travel planning. Okay, another highly recommended option for getting the most from your Route 66 adventure is to make use of the services provided by Route Trip USA. These folks know road trips, and they know Route 66. They also have an array of resources that can add some zest to your adventure. As an example, when booking your trip, add in a tour of Kingman with me as your guide. I would be remiss if it were not noted that Route 66 is just one of the amazing adventures that they offer. The Deep South, Alaska, Hawaii, tours that center on television and movie sites, Canadian trips, special honeymoon holidays. That's all their specialty. For more information or other available tours, check out their website at routetripusa.com. storyteller.com. Now, as promised, an exclusive. This book is just being released. It's brand new by Ron Clements. Clements and his wife Patty have been full-time RVers since 2018. Baseball is their driving passion. They have visited all 30 major league stadiums. And that takes us, this book by Imbriffix Books is in their Road Trip America series. A sport fan's guide to Route 66, Clements documents a fascinating voyage of discovery along Route 66 and shares a staggering amount of information about the road's link with sports. Now, I got a little caveat here. A little confession, if you will. I am not a sports fan. I ran track a bit in school, and in my younger days, I actually thought bronc riding at rodeos was a good idea, but I quickly learned that was God's way of eliminating stupid people. But baseball, football, and other sports, they just left me cold. I never was able to figure out why we spend years teaching kids to share and then cheer for people that we pay millions of dollars to fight over the ball. Well, anyway, so you can imagine that I was surprised to actually find this book interesting and road trip inspiring. High school sports, golf, rodeo, pro ball, interesting sports history, all wrapped up in a travel guide to Route 66. Really, I was really surprised by the depth and scope. For example, the entry on Pontiac, he notes about the Route 66 Association of Illinois, the museums, the Pontiac Oakland Museum, and but then he also gets into between Christmas and New Year's Day, the town of 12,000 people is home to the nation's oldest high school holiday basketball tournament. The tournament began in 1926, and the Pontiac High School Gymnasium has hosted some of the best high school basket teams from Illinois. Pretty darn interesting read. I can really recommend this book. For more information or to order a copy, go to imbrifex.com. That's the publisher. But very interesting. I can recommend it. It's brand new, just come out, June. It'll be out this month. Okay, next up, let's step back in time. This is an original copy of By Motor the Golden Gate by Emily Post that was published in 1916, excuse me. I was really glad to learn a few years ago that this book had been reprinted and was made available on Amazon. I've referenced this book and noted it several times, several different programs, presentations. The language is a bit dated, and occasionally it gets long-winded. Still, this is a great read, a great adventure story. The photographs are sparse, but they provide an interesting look at travel in the era. There are photos of hotel rooms and traffic encountered on the road, including a covered wagon in New Mexico. As a lot of her trip was over the National Old Trails Road, I found the sections about the West and Southwest to be particularly interesting. And in the back are hand-drawn maps with notes about stops, locations, and other information. That has inspired several road trips. I should say backcountry adventures. You'll also be surprised to learn when you read this that Emily Post was a pioneering automobilist. In the book, she notes previous adventures. She talks about a trip in 1898 from the Baltic to Adriatic in one of the first automobiles sold to a private individual in Europe. And she also talks extensively about various guidebooks, equipment, planning her cross-country odyssey, and the excitement of eager anticipation about seeing the exotic lands and people of the American Southwest. Kind of sets the stage for Route 66 tourism. It really adds some perspective. Even a cross-country trip today in a Model A Ford would be luxurious compared to her adventure. Even more amazing is the fact these grueling trips were becoming increasingly popular. In 1915, more than 20,000 people, including Edsel Ford, drove to California for the Panama Pacific Exposition. Next up, now this isn't really a guidebook, so to speak, unless you find your inspiration in sleuthing. It is a classic, and it can be found on Amazon. Andy Sanson probably would be really interested in this book. It was first published in 1935. With the passing of time, some of Mr. Will Barnes' research has been proven that he was off a little bit, but most of the issues are minor. Overall, he did a bang-up job. He provides the origins of names for mountains, landmarks, and towns. Needless to say, a lot of these towns are long gone. Some were less than historic footnotes when Barnes compiled the information. Road trip and backcountry inspiration abounds. As an example, let me give you this one. This is an interesting place. The name, it's an N word that's derogatory and offensive for African Americans. I won't use it here so I don't offend anyone or the Facebook people. But it was an N word well. And it says it was in Maricopa County. The well was dug by a Portuguese, said to have been part Negro. The well lies between Hassayampa and the Salt Rivers, 12 miles from the sink of the Hassayampa north of White Tank Mountains. The Negro ran a bakery shop at Wickenburg for a while. The well exploded 2,600 pounds of powder stored along the road by a freighter whose wagon had broken down. He covered the stuff with a heavy canvas. Frenchie came along, saw a coyote smelling around the canvas, stopped his team and took a shot at the animal. The shot exploded the powder, leaving a crater to mark the spot. Things like this. Does that not inspire a backcountry adventure? The book also presents a timely view of the changing of Arizona's landscape, largely through environmental degradation, mining, and overgrazing. I'll give you a quick example here of how things have changed and continue to change. Here, this is his entry for Long Tom Canyon, Coconino County. And he gives, on the Crook Verde Road, 2 miles from the rim, enters Chevlon. It was called this by an old hunter and sheep hunter named Wolf, who camped here as early as 1882. The author, Mr. Barnes, I located in the valley and built the first cabin here, 1885. At that time, it was a beautiful place. A clear stream flowed down the valley through dense willows. There was grass everywhere. 15 years later, I came back. The creek was dry. Its floor was cut 10 feet deep, and most of the willows were gone due to overgrazing. That's another book I highly can recommend for you to add to your library. Well, my friends, I have stacks and stacks of books to share with you, but it looks like I've burned through just about another half hour. So I'm going to wrap this up and answer a few of your questions. If you'd like to watch this program or any of our others or share it with friends, it's archived here on our Facebook page, and it's also available on our YouTube channel. And if you need more road trip inspiration, signed copies of my books, well, check out our website at jimhinckleysamerica.com. I want to say thank you to Joe and the boys of the road crew for our theme song. And speaking of road trip inspiration, you can check out their website and listen to some tunes that will have you thinking neon lit nights, coffee and pie in an old diner, and two-lane highway stretching to the distant horizon. Roadcrew66.com. Next week, we'll get back to actual presentations. I'll be doing with pictures and whatnot. I'm going to be talking hotels, motels, and interesting lodging options. A few of these places have rather long histories. A couple are claimed to be haunted. I never seem to drink enough to find the ghost. But I do have some funny stories to share. Have some interesting places off road. I've got one of the probably the most bizarre lodging story, my personal. I'll share with you. One of the strangest things I've ever gotten into at a hotel. And like I say, it'll be a presentation format complete with photos, addresses, and website information. Well, I should get to your questions here. We've got Andy with us and Jim Carter and Jill, Bill. Jim says it's a bit cold this morning. Well, it's going to be about 90 here in Kangman. David's hollering at us all the way from Kentucky. And Mr. Kentner's with you. Mr. Keith, we still got to get together and get that book to you. Yes, Miss Maggie, we are live. Going on a girls' trip to Springfield in Chicago. Well, if I can help, Linda, you just give me a holler. I'm pretty handy at telling folks where to go. Springfield and Chicago. One that I can recommend is the Wild Hair Cafe in Elkhart, Illinois. It's just a block off Route 66. It's in the business section's only about a block long. If nothing else, try their four-berry cobbler coffee. Delicious. And if Peter Niehaus is there, the owner, give him a holler for me. Mr. Mike's with us this morning. How are you doing, sir? Oh, Miss Maggie, you've had one hell of a week. Mr. Fennessy's with us. Well, well, well. Mr. Fennessy's with One Stop 66. Late but here. Bill, better late than never. Yeah, Bob Moore and Rich Cunningham. Bob Moore did some great stuff. Andy, I'm surprised being that since you're from Bullhead City, I'm surprised that you're complaining about the heat. Bill, that's an interesting footnote. I did not know that. That's intriguing. Yeah, these old books like this, I'm glad they're starting to reprint some of them. They really enhance and inspire some road trips. Hey, I want to give a shout out to our Coffee Cup sponsor this week, the California Route 66 Museum in Victorville, California. If you stop by, say hello to Delvin for me. If you'd like Coffee Cup sponsorship, just send me a coffee cup. If you're an author and you'd like your book reviewed, send me a copy. And if you would like to become an advertising sponsor of this program or Jim Hinckley's America, drop me a note and we'll find a way to fix it for your fit your budget. We got something just about for everybody, and we guarantee you'll reach a pretty big audience. We're closing in on 7,000 followers now here on Facebook. Getting close. My friends, thank you so very much for your continued support and for your ideas. And thank you for sharing the adventure. And I guess we'll be doing this again next week about the same time. And hopefully I will be on freed up a little bit. I've got so many new things I want to do. That's not good, Mike. Scraping frost off the windshield on Memorial Day weekend. You know, I spent a bit of time up in the North Country working in the UP in Michigan and up around Duluth, running trucks up at Copper Harbor and up in that area. And coldest I've ever experienced. One morning I got up, I believe it was mid-January, into January, and it was after a big storm. And no wind, clear blue sky, and an honest 40 below zero. And I thought, you know, son, you're a desert man. You don't need to be doing this. Jim, thank you for that vote of confidence. Hey, you guys take care. Like I say, I got myself in a spot this week, and it's not important why, but I had a bit of a delay, and I'm really hustling. Uh, I got the book sent off, the text for the new book, but I've got till Tuesday to finish the photo file and captions and to get that off. I'm behind a little, and then first chapter for another book. I'm just finishing up and sending that off. Lots of neat things. Roger Naylor, I don't know if you're familiar with him. I'll be sharing this later. He's a writer for the Arizona Republic, written a couple of interesting books. Loves to hike. That boy walks, and he's passionate about Arizona. He's launched a podcast, and I'll be recording an interview with him on Tuesday as soon as I get that link. I don't have any more information. I've received some inquiries about the Fast TV network program. We're working on it, but I don't I don't have anything new to share. And that's about it. My friends, take care. Vaya con Dios. And, well, hope to see everybody again next week. Take care, amigos. Bye bye.